Yo, what's up, Internet? Kusanagi here, and we're talking about Goddess of Victory NIKKE and the ongoing Stellar Blade collab.
Hey Internet, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to subscribe.
So, as part of the ongoing Stellar Blade collab, we have Raven and Eve were recently dropped, and they are available on the current banner. Let's talk about whether you should pull them or you should skip. So, my verdict so far is unless you're pulling for waifu purposes or you're a collector, you should skip them. In terms of current meta, they do not really perform any specific function very well. For example, Anomaly Interception on Ultra, I was only able to get to stage 5, whereas normally with Red Hood and Rappy, I can almost kill the boss with some adjustments and timings. They perform very poorly also in shooting range versus that same team outputting basically 5 to 6 billion damage, whereas my Rappy and Red Hood output almost 11 billion. Using the same supports, Crown and Siren with T3 Helm. So they're getting all the same buffs, but really not outputting the damage. The more interesting thing, obviously, is, about Elemental. So my Rappy is at about 95% Ellie, and my Eve is at about 90. I can link to my blah blah profile. All my Nikkes are available for people to look at and see what the investments are. So even with similar amounts of Elemental, Eve is not outputting damage similar to Rappy. She's not even close to Red Hood. And my poorly built Maxwell is probably the only thing that is in her range. So, in terms of Eve, I don't see any content where she's going to be very valuable, whether that be hard campaign, anomaly, interception. It basically probably just this solo raid for a team 5 or a team 4. If you don't have shotguns, or if you're missing some good iron units like Let's Snow White or Treasure Laplace, or your Maxwell's not fully built, you have an opportunity there. But again, I would not overinvest in her. This solo raid is going to cater to her, and we've basically had Iron solo raid once a year. So the once a year you will get to dust her off and use her, assuming that they continue to do this trend of Iron solo raid is basically once per year. When it comes to Raven, there might be some hope, I guess, light at the end of the tunnel. And the reason for that is it seems that DOT is not working as intended in the game. One of the JP bros, who I will link to below, found that not getting full stacks on her DOT ticks. And as a result of that, she's losing about 40% of her damage. So there was a notice by Shift Up that was posted related to Raven. We will see what that entails, whether that means she's going to get a buff or they're going to fix how DOT is working. Sky had mentioned yesterday in his video that he thinks anything they do to fix Raven's DOT may adversely cause problems with Mihara. So they have to be very careful probably about balancing, or they may basically break Mihara, or we could end up in a situation where Mihara somewhat gets a buff because DOT was broken in the game. We'll see how they decide to do this. It's going to be interesting to see what the final patch notes and if any information they provide to us about what was going on with DOT in the game. It was also mentioned that Nihilister with fire breath attacks was also ticking not consistently as well. And I noticed this when I was streaming it yesterday. I was not getting consistent ticks of damage from Nihilister. And in some cases I would survive, and others I would die. So we'll find out what's going on there. They also canceled Solo Raid either as a result of the Raven kit being bugged, or there's another issue ongoing with the Solo Raid boss mechanics themselves. I wasn't able to fully test all of the mechanics. I didn't even see the parts spawn on the boss yesterday. So we'll see if maybe that is the issue. Because Raven is expected to be able to carry there with the parts damage and continuously keep that sustained damage ongoing. You break parts. So maybe there's a bug with the raid boss itself, like we had with Behemoth, or could also be another issue of intermittent pause. The boss immediately attacks in the beginning, but could be that that element of the boss phase is causing an issue with Solo Raid. We'll find out. They haven't really said anything too specific other than they are investigating the issues with Raven's kit. But we have no information regarding Solo Raid as if it's a new issue or if it's still if related to the issues with Raven. That being said, should you pull or should you skip? In my view, Eve is very skippable unless she's your waifu. And even if she is your waifu, I would be very careful about over investing in her. I over invested on my free to play account and I regret it deeply. For Raven, I think it's wait and see. If you already have her, be cautious about over investing in her on the hopes that Shift Up is going to fix or adjust her kit. We don't know if that 40% figure that was calculated by the JP player is what we will get back, or if, they're going to meet us somewhere in the middle because it's not fully fixable or it's only fixable to a degree without causing a negative impact on Mihara's kit. So I would be very cautious. If you haven't pulled yet, then I would wait. If your other consideration is to mileage, I would not mileage either of them unless you're a collector. They are not worth your mileage if you are a load spender or free to play. So that's all I got. Internet, let me know in the comments if you are still pulling or if you're skipping or you're waiting for summer NIKKE reruns. Looking forward to the Nier collab rerun that will be upcoming. Thanks for watching and bye bye.